Back to Alphonso Davies, a treble winner, a Champions League winner. Listen, the kid's still a teenager, right? He's been around for 3 or 4 years, really 2 years though at Bayern Munich. Yet the conversation, the narrative is shifting to, is he the best that this country's ever produced? Now, you look at some of the great players that Canada's produced. Got a couple right here, of course. Paul Terry.
Don't laugh.
I'm not laughing. Yeah. Terry's laughing. I'm not laughing.
Just jumping on Craig's
coattails. Paul Terry, Julian de Guzman, of course, Deportivo. Don't forget what he did there, of course. Wonderful career. Craig Forrest, of course, as mentioned, West Ham, Ipswich, a long time in the Premier League. Is it too soon to say that this kid is the best ever, considering he's now a Champions League winner?
You could argue both ways. A guy like Atiba Hutchinson, who won trophies in Denmark and Holland, Turkey, all-time 11 Copenhagen player, which is really impressive. So longevity, amount of games he's played. But what Alphonso's actually achieved, maybe the greatest thing he'll ever achieve today.
It's a good point, right? Has he peaked?
You know what? You might as well just hang him up. He's won it all. You might as well, outside
Come
of
back
getting
home, Fonzie.
Yeah, get Canada to the World Cup and.
Yeah, I think he's up on the pedestal here. What he's done at Bayern Munich is incredible, and I don't think Canadians done that before. I think Christine Sinclair comes in that conversation for sure. But what he's doing is repeatable. He can keep doing this over and over. It's not like he's scoring bicycle kicks from halfway and you're like, wow, he's done that once, that's incredible. I think he's at a great club, as we've discussed, at Bayern Munich. I think he's got a great role. I think he needs to reset his goals. Like when he first went to Bayern Munich, it was, how do I get in this team? How do I earn that next contract? How do I win the league, the Champions League, and the Cup? Well, I've done that. Well, what's next? And it's probably just a little bit more responsibility. It'll be interesting to see how Canada use him. Does he follow the pathway of a Gareth Bale and maybe, he gets into that front free and he's a little bit more attacking? Time will tell, but I think the adversity he's been through, he's set up for longevity. I don't see any reason why he can't go and do this for the next 10 years.
I think the big thing with him is, outside of any other Canadian player we've ever seen before, is that he is exciting. He's a ticket seller. I'm going to buy money. I'm going to pay for a ticket to go watch him play the game. He's that good. We've never had anybody with that sort of dynamic ability to excite the crowd in the same kind of way that Alphonso can.
It's interesting because you talk about how he's redefining a position, like a few actually fullbacks are at the moment across the world. Robertson, Alexander Arnold, in the fullback position. I mentioned Paul Terry before. One of Canada's greatest ever players was a fullback as well.
That's right.
For Werder Bremen and won the Bundesliga, right? But obviously a very different kind of player. It wasn't necessarily, with all due respect, the dynamic, exciting fullback that we're seeing nowadays.
Yeah. I think that's what the difference is with Alphonso, is just because he's got that. And not only just on the field, off the field. The kid's electric. He's got a personality, he's relatable, and he's got this excitement that we just never, ever have seen before in anybody from Canadian soccer. So he's got that.
I like the word pure. He's just pure. I don't think you coach him a ton. You let him go do his thing. I just think he's just pure. And I think just for a sports fan, he's so identifiable. You can see
he's a marketer's dream, isn't he?
He really is.
Yeah. Do you think it's all a blur for him? This must be, 2 minutes ago he's in Vancouver. Before that, he's in Edmonton. Everything's happened really, really quickly for him.
I think back when I made my debut, I'm just living in the moment, and you're like, oh wow, that was pretty cool. Oh wow, I just won the Champions League. I think I think it's a little bit like that, and they'll have a little bit of time off, and when he thinks about it, it's like, wow, you know what? Not only did I win the Champions League, but I've trailblazed for other Canadians to say, you know what, the dream is possible.
It's amazing too that you mentioned he's pure. He is. He's also still quite raw. This kid can only get better, right? He's so young. He'll be coached at a perfect club for him in Bayern Munich, and then he'll, put on that Canadian shirt and suddenly be the man on that Canadian team, along with John David. So the potential is so huge. When you mentioned Christine Sinclair, obviously, the greatest we've ever seen, and the women's side of things, one of the greatest players the world's ever seen on the women's side. Can Fonzie have the same impact on Canadian football that she did? Because she inspired a generation of girls to play the game. The boys are already playing. Right?
The boys are already playing. Yeah, I think it takes everything to a different level in the perspective of what's going on. And you talk about how people perceive Canadian players. I mean, back in our day, right when you walked in the door, you're Canadian? They haven't even seen you play, and you're already down here. as a Brazilian would be up here, even if he couldn't play. So you had that to battle against. So and over time, players have slowly changed that. I mean, that perception has changed, and he's going to do a big part of that. So from that standpoint, the opportunities for our young players to get opportunities are going to be greater. They still have to perform and develop, and remember, Alphonso's not something you're going to see every generation.
No, he's a generational talent, isn't he? Yeah. Which is amazing for us to say that from a Canadian soccer perspective.
I think we, on the Canadian men's side, need to create that watershed moment that Christine Sinclair had at Old Trafford when she scored. And that's on us to get to Qatar. To then we get to the World Cup. And what is that watershed moment? That Johnny Wilkinson drop goal. And is it getting out of the group? Is it Alphonso Davies skinning someone? And I think we really have to do that at the world stage for our game on the men's side to get to that level.
Very good point. And qualifying for, 26 is in a distant future. We know we're going to get into that. But 2022 has got to be something, and I know the players are focused just on that. This is a really good opportunity to get into that.
You want to do it on your own accord, right?
Yeah, you want to do it on your own, and go into 26 with that behind you is going to make such a big difference. And the build-up for 26 is going to be immense.
And that too.
Yeah, well,
there won't be many more half-empty stadiums in Canada.
But he can't do it, like you said, by himself. He needs help, obviously, and that's down to John Herdman and his teammates. And obviously, we see John David doing so well right now. The Lou Marsh Award is every December. So far, soccer's been ignored except for 2012 with Christine Sinclair winning it, deservedly speaking. Listen, I follow a lot of sports. I like all sports, but if he doesn't win this year, then I just give up. They'll never give it to a soccer player outside of.
That's a good point.
Because I mean, I don't know what more you can ask. This is now a guy that's going to become a household name in the global football market, right? If you're a football fan and you watch Champions League, you know how this kid is now, right? And that hasn't been the case before. So, Lou Marsh, voters, there's some responsibility and expectation now. Do the right thing in December.
You're speaking to the choir.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Everyone watching us right now.
Yeah, that's right.